Hello, and welcome to the podcast version of the Week in Review newsletter, which you can subscribe to for free at newsletter.theweikinreview.com. This is issue number 9, an ultraviolent hit of gaming nostalgia. The experience I had playing Romeo is a Dead Man was almost exactly the experience I had going to a childhood friend's wedding. As I walked up to the church, I started recognizing faces from years before. Oh shit, Eric, how the heck are you? Billy, my boy, what's life done to you? Goodness gracious. Wait, Lauren, you're in New York now? We should totally get dinner. And it was like no time had passed at all. The reversion to immaturity was immediate. None of them were my best friends. Those guys weren't invited. But they were people I was happy to see again and catch up with. None of us kept in touch after. Lauren moved away before we ever got that dinner. And this is honestly the first time I've thought about any of it in years, but I would still be happy to see them all again. And so it is with Grasshopper Manufacture. In high school, a pair of their releases, 2005's Killer 7 and 2007's No More Heroes, shaped the way I think about games. Before the indie boom made the punk rock aesthetic commonplace, they felt genuinely different and even transgressive, not necessarily in a positive way always, but in a memorable one. Like most games were and are made for teenage boys, but only No More Heroes required like aggressive jerk-off motion controls to charge your laser sword wielded by your deeply awful otaku avatar Travis Touchdown so that he could go around kill billing people in his quest to El Topo. The second game, Desperate Struggle, was every bit as juvenile, but like I fucking loved them so much. I have truly no idea if they would hold up, and I bought but never actually played 2021's No More Heroes 3, but Romeo's a Dead Man makes me think I don't need to check. From the opening moments, the game overwhelms you. In the announcement trailer, a family is at home and Romeo Stargazer goes to the door and is immediately mauled by a giant white demon thing, only to be sort of resurrected by his grandfather. And the final game is only slightly less jarring as the demon is happened upon while out on patrol, but the grandfather is actually dead in this universe, and Romeo's rescued by an alternate dimensional one, like think Doc Brown by way of Rick Sanchez, and that's just it, you're 100% there, who jams a machine into his now missing right eye that makes him Dead Man, the half-dead man, with a big robot head and a newfound ability to wield wild weapons for the space FBI. Also, the grandfather's been reincarnated or something as a moving graphic on the back of Romeo/Dead Man's jacket, where he keeps you company while you travel the cosmos in search of Juliet. Shakespeare, but make it PCP, right? This Juliet doesn't like Shakespeare. Turns out, not that that or anything else matters, because this story, utterly incomprehensible. I think that these lovers become star-crossed on a night much like the one where Romeo was mauled, rather than a demon on the road. There was an amnesiac woman who asked him to kill her, but instead he fell in love. We get a few glimpses of what came next, and maybe they're real and maybe not. By a third playthrough, I think I'd have a handle on it, but I'll never find out. But the most important part is what came after, because it turns out that she is the real time demon or whatever. And because Romeo fell in love instead of following her instructions, he, and therefore you/I, must follow her across time to periods where she has sown the seeds of chaos and clean up her mess by making many of your own. And like, what glorious messes you make. The next 15 hours, you see you just hacking and slashing and blasting through thousands of enemies full of an incomprehensible amount of blood. Because now we've got the power of the PlayStation 5 Professional, and where should all that extra power go except in the service of more cartoon gore? This is what I want from a Grasshopper game, and many people lay that at the feet of the company's founder and CEO, Goichi Suda, aka Suda51. Games like Killer 7, No More Heroes, Killer is Dead, Lollipop Chainsaw, Shadows of the Damned, and now Romeo is a Dead Man fit the mold of a Suda51 game in the way that Sentimental Value is a Joachim Trier film. But the man's got dozens of credits to his name, and plenty of them aren't the kind of ultra-violent genre-hopping stuff people laud him for. And even within those games, he has had varying levels of impact. Infamously, IGN once published the line, "There is a tendency among the press to attribute the creation of a game to a single person," says Warren Spector, creator of Thief and Deus Ex. And this tendency hasn't gotten better, which is frustrating because we don't need to do that here, right? When we talk about cinematic auteurs, we do so because there's no other shorthand. You can feel the change in a Christopher Nolan film that came when he shifted from working with cinematographer Wally Pfister to Hoyt van Hoytema. Quentin Tarantino's movies absolutely became looser, probably derogatory, following the passing of his longtime editor Sally Menke. Yet, there isn't a simple way to say that. And even if one film's impact is the result of everyone's contributions, it still gets filtered through the sensibility of the directors, which makes them a reasonable enough stand-in that when I say I like Kim Ji-woon movies, it does mean something. But it doesn't need to be directors or individuals at all. A24 has a sensibility that brings people into a theater. Seeing that Neon is releasing a project always compels me to check something out. And physical releases by the Criterion Collection or Vinegar Syndrome or what have you do the same. The structure of game production means that you have the studio to use as a stand-in. Unless you're like the guy who actually made Stardew Valley by himself, games are even more their parts than movies. Like, you should watch Double Fine Psych Odyssey if you haven't. When I said the most weeb sentence of my entire life, Romeo is a dead man out of nowhere breaking out the Rakugo story at the heart of Akane Banashi's current arc is crazy, a friend should have said, that's Grasshopper for you, instead of that's Suda for you. Because it doesn't matter whether the idea to include the Shinigami story came from Suda 51 or co-writer-director Ren Yamazaki or a junior programmer. What matters is that other people went ahead and did it. And it wasn't hard or expensive. It's a static sequence in the same pixel art environment. You just sit with the story. TBH, that's Rakugo. The Akane Banashi anime just started. It's really good. It's free on YouTube. You should watch it. But that's all it needed. Romeo is full of shit like that. And also just kind of in general full of shit. Like in the first hour, I honestly got a bit of a headache because tutorial screen after tutorial screen introduced new and wacky mechanics. Like Donkey recently released a video on Neo 3 as pretty relatable, several of which I never even interacted with. But I knew that if I stuck with it, it would eventually click. And anyway, there was something nostalgic in the confusion, like me being a kid utterly baffled by Killer 7, a game starring 7 split personalities who are also entirely different entities with their own special powers that you must switch between to work your way through the story, which is literally running on rails with fixed camera angles until you have to pause to switch to first person to do a fight that feels like something out of an arcade light gun game. It is such a singular work and experience, and every time you think you have a handle on it, a disembodied head shows up in a washing machine to say some cryptic something. I didn't understand Killer 7 then, and I don't understand Romeo's a dead man now. And Grasshopper's latest even has a cryptic equivalent, a 2D man without a visible head seen in floating televisions that bring Romeo to and from subspace, offers advice, fun facts about the world, utter nonsense. Genuinely couldn't tell what it was going for. And I couldn't care less. And honestly, a comprehensible version of this game would be a lot less interesting, and I come to Grasshopper for interesting. Which is exactly what Romeo is a Dead Man delivered. An experience equal parts surprising and comforting and periodically frustrating. It really was nice to be back in this kind of world experiencing the kind of wonder that I did just about 20 years ago. And so, if you're ever in New York again, hit me up. But also for now, I'm going to move on. Truly the epitome of a 7 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching. As I said, this is the podcast version of the Week Review newsletter. Please subscribe. It is free unless you want to pay, but you don't get anything if you pay. I wrote this a month ago as I'm recording it. I don't even know when it's going to end up getting posted. If you want the things at the time, that's where to find them. There's also, I write like hot takes really quickly. Those just aren't getting recorded. My last one was on Project Hail Mary. Yeah. I hope to write for you next time.